This is Charter Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance, and today we are joined by Mike Jin. Mr. Jin was a member of the Redondo Beach City Council for 8 years, then he was mayor for 8 years, and now he is a candidate for the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors, the 4th District, which includes significant portions of southern Los Angeles County. Sir, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Brad. Honored to be here.
I want to speak with you about your time on the Redondo Beach City Council and mayor. Talk to us about how that has informed your view of government as you're looking toward a seat on the Board of Supervisors.
Well, thanks so much, Brad. I mean, I'm trained as an engineer. I spent, over 23 years in the private sector in aerospace and defense. And,
nice.
Worked on fun things like the Hubble Space Telescope.
That is fun.
Which is one of my most cool unclassified projects there. That was a great time. But
living in the South Bay makes sense then, given what you did.
Well, I worked for a company called TRW.
I've heard of them.
Years ago.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
And so, I grew up, studying technology, computer science, but public services was something that was always part of me as well. And it was through,
why?
I think it started out with my dad's World War II service in the U.S. Army, served in China in the Pacific Theater, and a very highly decorated vet. But also, it started out through an organization called Key Club as well in my high school. And I saw the impact that people can have on their communities through volunteerism, nonprofits. And I said, I want to play a larger role in that. And so, because of term limits in 1995, I ran for city council, got elected with 62.5% of the vote, re-elected in 99 without opposition, and then decided, I wanted to continue serving the public. So I ran for mayor in 2005 and re-elected without opposition in 2009. But for me, being mayor in particular, it taught me a lot because I was mayor during the toughest recession.
Yes, you were.
In this country's history. So, first 2 years were great, but afterwards, I was faced with some very, very tough decisions as, the leader of our city. And, we had to cut our budget 6%. I told our city manager I didn't want to lay people off because they wouldn't be able to find a job.
Sure.
So we worked collaboratively with our unions and other partners, and we got through the recession. But at the same time, we implemented some very aggressive economic development programs. So we have 2 new hotels, a Home Garden Inn, the Marriott Residence Inn.
How were you able to do that when you consider that right around that time, the state took away a tool that many cities use? I'm not sure if your city used it, and that was redevelopment. Did you use redevelopment as a tool?
Yes, we did. And in fact, I was with the League of California Cities and did a video similar in many respects saying, it was one of the most effective tools that cities had for economic development activities, and it was a mistake, in my opinion, for them to eliminate it. Abuses sometimes happen, but you have to look at the overall benefit to what you're trying to do.
So how were you able to lure in these 2 new hotels? I mean, look, you're in the South Bay. You got Hermosa Beach, you got Redondo Beach, you got Torrance, you got El Segundo, you got Huntington Beach, you got a lot of beaches there.
Right.
What was the magic sauce, the secret sauce?
Well, for me, I think it was promoting the assets of Redondo Beach. Our presence in the aerospace industry is an example.
Of course.
Northrop Grumman, that's right there. A lot of local businesses and local industries that would help make a project like that make sense, for private investors. So we worked really closely with, the private sector, private investors, and this was during the depths of the recession. Because I knew that, once the recession ended, we had to be prepared for that rebound.
I want to ask you, if I may, about your run for the Board of Supervisors.
Yes.
So when you were on the city council, you represented about 16,000 people.
Correct.
When you were mayor, you represented about 70,000 people. Should you be successful, you would be representing 2 million people in Los Angeles County. That is bigger than 13, 14 states. Nebraska has fewer people than the 4th District in Los Angeles County. New Mexico has just a little more. The entire county has 10 million people, making it basically as big as Georgia or North Carolina. So how do you do it?
I think you've built a good team of people for one thing. But also it's about building partnerships, with communities, with other elected officials, with other regional organizations. I think one of the biggest responsibilities of a supervisor is to work collaboratively with the cities, with nonprofit organizations, with business organizations, to make sure that we can provide the services in as effective and cost-effective manner as possible, but also, to lobby on, important issues that are important for our county, from transportation to economic development. So, obviously the county the population is very huge and diverse, and so as supervisor, I would really depend a lot on reaching out to our local businesses, our local residents, local officials, to really determine what are some of the needs in the local cities.
What do you perceive to be the need in the 4th District or the county generally? We know there's a lot of discussion about healthcare. Healthcare reform is being implemented as we speak. You work in healthcare.
I do.
As your day job. A lot of discussion about public safety, about transportation. But more importantly, what are you hearing? You're on the ground.
Right.
What are you hearing?
Well, for me, and public safety is number one. We are living in a very challenging time.
No kidding. I mean, this is scary,
It's
sir.
a very
This is
unsettling
scary.
time for all of us. And so, with terrorism that just occurred in our backyard, with, the recent issue with LAUSD and a phone call or an email that was received there, we have to be on top of public safety.
But let's talk about that, because there's no doubt that we are on edge. It is undeniable.
Right.
When you think about the LAUSD decision to close the schools recently, in light of the fact that the New York City schools did not close their schools, having received, as I understand it, the same threat,
Right.
I am not casting aspersions or providing praise one way or the other,
Right.
but it's clear that we're on edge.
We are.
And so how do we get to a place where we have an equilibrium between being smart and being scared?
And I think a lot of it, it's a good question, Brad. I think some of it is going to come down to communication with the public. Does the public have confidence that we in government are able to address these issues in an effective manner, that we are as prepared as possible? And, for me, public safety these days is a partnership. You can't just rely on the enforcement aspect of it. You can't just rely on agencies. I think all of us have to play a role in our own public safety as well.
And let's talk about that partnership, because should you be elected, you'll be working with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office.
Correct.
The sheriff is independently elected. There's now a civilian commission looking at the activities of the sheriff's office, the prisons, because of what happened in the prior administration. And so how do you create a scenario whereby the county board works as an overseer but still recognizing the independence of the sheriff's office?
Well, I think, one of the things I would want the sheriffs to be able to do is to be able to work very collaboratively, with all of the outside agencies as well. And you're right, the sheriff is a separate elected official, but ultimately, the county board of supervisors determines the budget.
Yes, it does.
Determines
the power
the service
of the purse.
levels and so forth. So, I think it's important for the board to understand, the challenges that the sheriff is facing, the challenges that we may have with other, collaborations that we need to do into the future with other agencies. As an example, let's take the recent LAUSD incident that occurred. LA City School Police, LAPD was right on top of that, and they were. So, as an example, how did we respond as a sheriff's department? Because the sheriff and the county operates the emergency operations center, let's say. So, what are some of the ways that we could have been collaborating maybe a little bit more that particular issue?
You'll come back another time. We'll talk more about these issues.
Absolutely.
His name is Mike Jin.
Thank
He
you.
is a candidate for the Board of Supervisors in Los Angeles County. My name is Brad Pomerance. We thank you so much for joining us on Charter Local Edition.